hey, friend. Thank you for showing up today and for just sharing your time with me. I It's like the third week of 2025, and I don't know what's happening. Like the world is doing really wild things to me. In all honesty, 2024 was probably quite easily one of the hardest years of my life. It was both like the most incredible year and it was the hardest year. And 2025, I think, is gonna suit up to be pretty similar. Um, but I had promised on a previous episode that I was going to do a 2024 roundup, and truthfully, my heart's not really in it. But I did want to talk about something that was a theme for me of 2024, and I think it was a theme for a lot of you. And so I'm kind of summing it up in the word of the year. The word of the year that I saw through like every website that I looked at, every coaching person that I talked with, like all of my students, all of my clients, the word was authenticity, which is kind of funny because I looked at I Googled word of the year, and authentic was actually the word of the year from Merriam-Webster in 2023. And I think they do that like by what people search, or perhaps people were hearing it more. And so then they were like looking up what does authenticity mean? So, or authentic. So that makes sense. And maybe 2024, we're trying to embody it a little bit more. But that's what I wanted to talk with you about today, because that is something that I feel is my strength. This is what I know is my strength. I am an extremely authentic person, which has led to some of the stuff that happened to me in 2024. But all things aside, I dove into a whole bunch of research about authenticity, and I wanted to share that with you today because we all seem to be batting this word around. And I think a lot of us kind of innately know what it means, because authenticity is something that we subconsciously strive for as humans. And it is in all of our inner workings. It comes up when, particularly so when we're not being authentic. And so if we look at how much time we spend on social media, which is a curated version, if not an untrue version of most people's lives, what they're presenting, and of the news and everything else. I'm not going to get into that today. But authenticity is becoming increasingly important because there is so much distrust in our society. And so, at least in my little corner of the world, I really see people desperately striving for authenticity because there seems to be so little of it. And so, if this episode inspires you to truly understand what authenticity is and how to obtain it, then my job as a coach and as a photographer is complete. Actually, it's never complete, but I mean, we're one step closer, right? I think, and I really truly believe that I'm led by the very strong principle that as a photographer, it's my responsibility to share the truth with people. And that's where authenticity comes in. It's when we are being our true selves. So we sort of have this choice, and this is my language today is going to be dual in term, like both like philosophically in terms of how we present in our lives, as well as how we present in our business. And when you're creative and you're doing something as intimate as photography of humans, whether that's in weddings or families or commercial work or whatever it is, if you're not being authentic, or the person you're photographing isn't being authentic, that is going to naturally kind of pick at us. And then we're in this world of quite rampant inauthenticity. And so this pushback, this desire, I think is beautiful and it's well-founded. And by striving to be authentic, then we are actually maybe going to head there. And that is really what our world needs right now. So we kind of have a choice when we show up, either in our day-to-day life as humans or in our business. And I would argue they're the same. We can pretend who we are in anticipation of what we want that the person we are meeting to perceive, or we can be true to ourselves. We have a choice. Every time we interact with someone, we have a choice. Am I going to be me, or am I going to be someone that I think that they want me to be, or that I want them to think that I am? But first of all, we should probably say, like, what does it actually mean to be our true selves? What does authenticity actually mean? Like is like, who are we? Like, are we one person? Are we many people? Should we like actually be revealing everything of who we are, our true selves? But so the answer to that, I think, and I think a lot of people are kind of protective of that, like there's this, I'm a professional and then I'm personal, like, and never the two shall meet. And my philosophy is very much like, no, no, you got to be the same on both playing fields. Because there's so many problems that come when you're separate like that. So, and the other thing is that the reason it's important for us to do that is because it bugs the shit out of us when other people aren't authentic, right? Like, I'm currently in a situation with one of the people I work for, and there's some question about their authenticity, and they really present themselves as being authentic, but this situation is revealing that perhaps they aren't, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. Right. And we can say that, and that happens everywhere, like if you're in an intimate relationship and someone lies to you, it's betrayal, right? Like, that's the worst. Like, whether they lie to you about their monogamy, or like whatever promises you have to each other, or man, I can think of a million ways that people lie to us, right? And we feel very betrayed, and that's because they are being inauthentic. So why do we want like, we have to look at that. If it bugs us when other people are being inauthentic, then we need to look at ourselves and how authentic are we actually being. So, and it's super common for us to kind of differ between public and personal worlds, but we are sus about people who seem very different between the two, right? Like, there's whenever we hear about a celebrity who's an asshole and we think that they're a darling, like, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe that they no, like, they're inauthentic. And it's especially bothersome when someone pretends to be authentic and we find out that they aren't, right? Like, I just want to lay that ground that when people are being inauthentic, it bugs the shit out of us, if not being an outright betrayal. So authenticity is important, right? That's why it was the word of the year in 2023, and I'm just a little bit behind the times. So how we feel on the inside, which is our authenticity, who we are on the inside, versus how you're sort of expected to be on the outside. If there's a rift between those, our messages are unclear. So in the purest marketing sense, if you are presenting yourself as a fine art photographer, but you have never studied fine art, that's pretty inauthentic, right? Or let's say that you are a huge documentary fan, like you just want to do documentary photos because you're just fascinated with people. It would feel pretty authentic for me to just do editorial posed work, right? Which is, I'm speaking that from my own experience, right? I love documentary work, and I was trying to pose people, and it was horseshit. Like, I did a terrible job. It felt awful and led me down the path to this very place that I am today, talking about authenticity and how important it is to not only overall life fulfillment, but also sustainability in your business. And if we're just going to look at the life side of it, we have to be our true selves if we're going to be happy, if we're going to have mental well-being. I hope the importance of this has been drilled into you by now. Coming in early February is my group mentorship program, Storyteller's School 2025. I am looking for 6 enthusiastic, documentary interested photographers. You don't have to be a documentary photographer. You just have to be interested in including some of those skills in your arsenal. This is for people who are looking to shake things up in their work, people who want to break up with perfection, people who want to truly discover what it is that they bring to the world and how to mold that into a brand, an outstanding brand that people will identify with and really want to hire you for you being you. Trying to help all of you embrace who you are, because who you are is a gift to this world. You are the way you are because somebody needs you. Lots of people need you, and you can do that through your art. And that's what Storyteller School is all about, is helping you find out what makes you you, what has created your innate perspective, and how to build an outstanding brand, how to build a sustainable business, and how to market that so that your clients can find you. So we talk a ton about marketing. We talk a ton about your portfolio. We improve your photography skills. We rebuild your website from the ground up, and we start that. We build the foundation of that based on who you are. We figure out what makes you tick, why you tick, and how that's going to help other people. So if you are remotely intrigued with that, you can click the link in the show notes, and that will help you book a little chat with me, and we can talk about whether or not Storyteller School is right for you. So there's 2 ways in which we're inauthentic. One way is that we don't actually know who we are, right? There are people who haven't quite figured it out. Like when you feel disconnected from your true self, like your inner self, or like you feel inaccessible. And that's a lot of my clients, my coaching clients, fall into that world of they don't quite know, or like they don't know how to present that, right? And then the other type of inauthenticity is when I know who I am, but I'm choosing to deny that, which is also something that my coaching clients struggle with. And in the photography world, we will often deny who we are. Despite knowing it, we will deny who we are because we think we have to pander to an expectation of what other people have of us. So that is really, really inauthentic. And it feels even worse when you put the word authentic on your website and you're not being authentic. So if you are feeling a disconnect between what you're presenting in your work and what you're doing for your clients, it's because you're being inauthentic. And my friends, there's a way out. And that way is finding out who you are, what you have to offer the world, and truly embracing that and presenting that in your work without fulfilling expectations that we don't even know if they exist, right? Like we think we know what people expect. But if we look at how disgruntled people get when others are being inauthentic, people expect us to be ourselves, right? So the answer is pretty simple. If you are struggling with what to put into your portfolio, or you're putting things into your portfolio because you think it's quote unquote pretty, or that other people will like it, that is the definition of authenticity. Because if you're not drawn to that, sure, you might think it pretty, but it doesn't make your heart sing. How can you expect it to make your client's heart sing? And that is why people are not coming to you in the way that you want them to, is because you're not showing up in the way that you need to show up. None of this is easy. None of this is easy because there are so many social conventions and biases and prejudices and stereotypes, and it gets worse from there. But if we're just sort of skimming the surface of hey, what photo should I put in my portfolio? If you're putting photos in there because you think that other people will expect them to be there, no, that is inauthenticity 101. Okay. So I invite you to kind of think about the two forms of inauthenticity. One, either you don't quite know who you are, which is one, it's kind of a great place to be, because then it's fun and it's explorative and you're curious. You can, like, you're trying different things and you're just you're finding yourself out. Like, think of yourself as a teenager or like in your early 20s. This is like, you're figuring it out. And actually, let's fast forward a couple of decades. It takes it, you don't ever really figure it out because we're always constantly changing, which is what's so great about life. We're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always changing. But what doesn't change all that much is our values. So if you're striving to figure out, like, I don't really know who I am, or I know who I am, but I'm choosing not to present myself as such, this is going to be, it's really taxing psychological state. And lots of my clients will say the words like, I feel stagnant, I feel like disconnected, I'm frustrated, I'm not fulfilled, I'm exhausted. These, because not knowing how to present yourself is, it limits how we connect with people. And connection is a basic human need. Like, if we're not connected, our limbic brain, like our is it limbic, your hind brain, like your primitive brain, is on high alert, like your fight or flight area, fight or flight, fawn or freeze. You're in that state of mind. And so it's going to affect the way you think, it's going to affect the way you converse, it's going to affect the way you connect. And so if we're not connecting, your lizard brain thinks that things are dangerous, and therefore it kind of like distills through everything else that you do, and it's a quite anxious state of mind. Because if we're constantly concerned about how we're being perceived and also managing that impression, that's exhausting, right? It's exhausting. So, you know, it's not exhausting, just being yourself, just figuring out, if you don't know who that is, having the fun and the compassion to figure out what that is, or giving yourself a hug and being like, I see you, I've got you, this is who you are. Now we're gonna step into it. Yeah, inauthenticity sucks. But what I see from all of us, most of us, every single one of my clients, my coaching clients, is that they're striving for authenticity. So I want to give you a little thing that you can kind of grab onto with the purpose of this episode. One is to figure out if your inauthenticity is from a place of not knowing who you are, and therefore you need exploration, or knowing who you are and not showing that, and therefore you need empowerment. The first step towards understanding your authenticity and being able to authentically use the word authentic is to figure out your values. Our values are very innate, and they are based on our life experience. So it's pretty hard to deny our values. We can't just like say that one of my values is adventure, and like not be interested in adventure. When you figure out your values, then what you need to do is remember them when you are talking with people, and talking, whether you're talking on social media or you're talking on your website or you're talking through the photos that you're sharing. Remember what your values are. Share those values, whether you're doing that in your stories, you're showing parts of your life, you are showing the things that light you up. Show them in your work, of course. This is what Storyteller's School is all about. Actually, full disclosure, I think you probably just heard the ad for Storyteller's School, but this is the whole journey of becoming who you are meant to be, is finding your authenticity through your values and knowing how to market that, how to brand yourself as that, marketing yourself from a very true from the innate perspective that you have based on your life experiences. That's what authenticity is. So if you're stuck, My friend, if you're using that word because it's the word of 2024/2023, I'm use this episode as the invitation to first figure out what your values are. And one of my clients did this. One of my coaching clients, she chose the values that she thought that her clients had. No. Choose the values that you have. Okay. What do you hold dear? Is it curiosity, self-reliance, social service or community service? Or is it like individualism, exploration, and integrity? Like, what are your values? What lights you up? What hills will you die on? I use that phrase a lot. Like, and it's really helpful for me to know what my another thing with authenticity is comes boundaries. So if you're someone who's a people pleaser, or you have trouble with boundaries, my friend, figuring out your values and marketing that will teach you so much about boundaries. Because when you're led by your values, you have to have boundaries. Like they're either side of the same coin. And it's actually very, very freeing when you can just be like, these are my values. Okay, is this photo that I'm showing, does it profess these values? This conversation that I'm having, does it profess these values? This relationship that I have, does it profess my values? And if the answer is no, my friend, you got to get the hell out of there. All right. I hope this episode was empowering for you. I hope that it gave you a few things to think about. I love thinking about this stuff. This is my heart's work. I love it. I love supporting people to stand up in their true power, because that's what we're here for, guys. It's what we're here for. And if we're being authentic, this dog will never stop biting at your heels. Okay. So we're a little slow on the word of the year, 23, 24, authentic. How about 25? How about 25 is when we actually figure out what that is, and we put it into our marketing, we put it into our brand, and we improve our well-being, and we be the people that we want to be, and we share that with the world, unabashed, fully our authentic selves. I hope this was interesting for you. If it struck a chord with you in any way, please email me. I love talking with people. I think I've said that 7,000 times in this episode. You can email me at hello@bobbybeeducation.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram, whether it's the Tilt and Shift podcast or Bar Birch Photo or Documentary Family Photo. I have 3 Instagram accounts. But yeah, just connect with me. Let's do it. It's a human need. Let's meet it. Okay. I love you. Have a beautiful day. And I will talk to you in the next episode. Go 2025. You've been listening to the Tilt and Shift Photography Business Podcast. I hope this conversation or these coaching tips have brought you a little tilt, maybe a little shift in your mindset, in how you look at your business, in how you think about your art, and how you show up in your life. Thank you for being here today, and we will talk at our next episode.